Hello, you are watching Shalom World News. I'm David Kerr from Lansing in Michigan, and these are your latest news headlines from around the world. The US Congress has voted to extend the life of a bipartisan commission that monitors and reports on religious freedom internationally. The United States Commission on International Religious Freedom was established back in 1998. The Commission's authorization from Congress, however, was set to lapse in September of this year. Now, a bipartisan effort led by Florida Senator Marco Rubio has reauthorized the Commission through until 2024. Expressing his gratefulness to the House of Representatives for passing the bill, Senator Rubio said that the Commission does phenomenal work in defending religious freedom across the world. The legislation will now go to the President of the United States for final approval. Pope Francis has asked financial advisors to put the interests of people and communities before that of businesses. The Pope made his appeal while addressing consultants from the accountancy firm Deloitte Global on Thursday at the Vatican. He said that businesses can play a key role in tackling various human crises, including pandemics and war. He urged them, however, to, quote, be integral consultants who promote the welfare of people and a more humane, just and fraternal world. Deloitte Global provides audit consulting, financial advisory, risk advisory, tax and legal services, and has approximately 335,000 employees across the globe. Yet another female religious congregation has decided to leave Nicaragua. In a communique, the Religious of the Cross of the Sacred Heart of Jesus said that the health of their nuns, a shortage of women religious, and the expiry of residency permits were the reason for their sisters leaving Nicaragua. The decision by the Mexico-based congregation, who are based in the Diocese of Matagalpa, comes amid continued persecution of the Church in the Central American country at the hands of the left-wing government led by President Daniel Ortega. In July of this year, 18 missionaries of charity were expelled from Nicaragua by the Ortega administration. The United Nations is seeking an investigation into the death in custody of an Iranian woman who was arrested for improperly wearing the hijab. That's the head covering worn by some Muslim women. 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was arrested in the capital city of Tehran on September the 13th. While being kept at the Vazara detention centre, Miss Amini collapsed and went into a coma. Her death 3 days later sparked widespread claims of torture, with some Iranian women publicly burning the headscarf and torching vehicles in protest. Now, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Nada al-Nashif, says that Miss Amini's death and subsequent allegations of torture must be properly and impartially probed by an independent, competent authority. The United States annual March for Martyrs will take place this Saturday in Washington, D.C. The event aims to highlight the plight of persecuted Christians around the globe. It's being held for the third year in a row with a focus this year on China. The opening rally on Saturday afternoon will be followed by a march and then a night of prayer for the persecuted at D.C.'s Museum of the Bible. The event will be attended by, amongst others, NBA basketball player Enes Kanter Freedom and Andrew Bunson, a US pastor who spent 2 years in a Turkish prison. For the first time in its 101-year history, Catholics outnumber Protestants in Northern Ireland. According to the latest census figures, 46% of the population identify as Catholic, whereas only 44% identify as Protestant. The figures for the 2021 census have been published by the Northern Ireland Statistics and Research Agency. They also showed that the percentage of people who are not affiliated to any religion is 9%. The 6 counties of Northern Ireland have a combined population of 1.9 million. Northern Ireland was created in 1921 when the island of Ireland was partitioned by the British Parliament. Meanwhile, Italy is heading for a so-called demographic winter, with a steep decline in population predicted within the next 50 years. That's according to the National Institute of Statistics, the country's main producer of official statistics. They say that Italy's steadily dipping birth rate will result in the decline in population by almost a fifth by 2070. That would see the number of people in Italy drop from its present 59 million to 48 million over that period. Meanwhile, the statisticians also say that in those 50 years, Italians aged 65 or above will constitute 34% of the population compared to the present 24%. The bishops of the United States are inviting people to practice radical solidarity and unconditional love for all mothers, including pregnant mothers, during the month of October. That's when the Church in the US observes Respect Life Month. In a statement, Archbishop William Lawrie of Baltimore, who is the chairman of the Bishops' Committee on Pro-Life Activities, said the upcoming month will be a time for a renewal and rededication of efforts to build a culture of life and civilization of love. Archbishop Lawrie also said that justice requires that the basic protections of the law against violence should also be extended to the unborn child. The Ukrainian Greek Catholic prelate in the United States is urging world leaders to shun Russian President Vladimir Putin. Archbishop Boris Gudziak, head of the Ukrainian Catholic Eparchy of Philadelphia in the US, has called on world leaders not to, quote, play the game according to Russian President Vladimir Putin's rules. The Ukrainian Greek Catholic prelate said that President Putin operates by fear and intimidation. He added that prayer, trust in the Lord, and the example of the martyrs provides the answer for moving forward. Archbishop Gudziak made his remarks at an evening prayer service for the victims of Russia's invasion of Ukraine, held on September the 21st at the Basilica of the National Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington, D.C. An archbishop in Cameroon says he won't pay a dime to the abductors of 5 priests, a nun, and 3 lay Catholics. Archbishop Andrew Nakea Fuyanya of Bamenda says that paying a ransom to kidnappers would set a dangerous precedent. The 9 hostages were taken by armed men from St Mary's Church in the Chang village in June. Archbishop Fuyanya said the abductors, who belonged to a group of English-speaking separatists, demanded $100,000 at first. Later, he said that demand was dropped to $50,000. The Anglophone region in the mostly Francophone nation of Cameroon has been witnessing conflict since 2017, where separatists are seeking an independent state named Ambazonia. Finally, people across India will participate in Rosary processions in honour of Our Lady on October the 9th. It's all part of the annual Rosary Across India initiative. There are several intentions for this year's event, say organisers. They include the protection of the nation and families, protection of St Joseph over the Universal Church, the sanctification of priests, religious and families, and reparations of sins against the Sacred Heart of Jesus and the Immaculate Heart of Mary. The event has been organised under the spiritual direction of Father Rui Comelo of the Archdiocese of Bombay. The Rosary is being led by the event coordinator, Melissa Miranda. This prayer initiative is inspired by the Rosary to the Borders, which originated in Poland in 2017, marking the centenary of Our Lady's appearance in Fatima in Portugal. Rosary Across India was started the following year. Ave Maria. And that's your latest news headlines for now. Do join us for more tomorrow. You can also join us at swnews.org for news updates. Shalom.